So again, welcome to today's session. Just wanted to recognize, as we always do, our funders for making these workshops possible and for us to be able to offer this to the community. And they are the Novo Nordisk Diabetes and Obesity Healthy Mississauga Fund, which is coming from the Community Foundation of Mississauga. They've been very generous to provide the financial support for us to carry these workshops out. And offer them to everyone. I'd like to now head it over to Chef Berge, who will talk a little bit about the recipe, and then we'll have Amber talk about the nutritional part.
Very good. Welcome back. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our SAVOR diabetic workshop. And today it's my favorite day, actually, because for the last many years I was doing pastry. So I'm not only a chef, I'm also a pastry chef. And that's actually my biggest passion. So it was a little bit challenging to find the right desserts for diabetic, for the diabetic workshop, but I did, and I hope you can also make it with me at home. Okay, if everybody looks at the recipes, there is the pudding we're gonna do today, and it doesn't have a recipe about the custard. There's a part in there where there's a custard as well, and I will show you the quickest way how to make a custard, so you never have to buy the powder again if you don't want to. I mean, if you want to and you like the taste of that, absolutely, please do. But like everything else, if you make it yourself, it's probably much healthier for you. Here we go. Let's start here. All right. I have an extra container here where I have put all my ingredients into it. First, I'm going to start a low fat milk, so 1% milk. I'm going to put that into my pot for now. That's around a cup of 1% milk. In the meantime, I'm going to put half a cup of water into my little bowl here. And I use some starch. Here we go. Here is the cornstarch I'm going to use here. So 1 nice scoop of the cornstarch, and I'm using some of the sugar the diabetic can eat. You can use any sugar you like. I don't use real sugar. This is crystal sugar. Just 1 tablespoon will do. And I'll mix it. In the meantime, my milk can warm up here. Here we go. It's okay if you don't want to have the flavor of a little bit of an egg in there. You don't have to put an egg yolk in. Also, the egg yolk gives you a little color as well. So I'm going to use one, and we know how healthy eggs are. So I'm not using the egg white. I'm only going to use the egg yolk. So it goes in there as well. If you break eggs, never just directly break it into liquid or dough or anything, because try to find your eggshells if it drops in. It's really, really hard. So this is done here. So now I'm going to wait, and the milk is going to get. You want to come over here with the camera a little bit? Just bear with me a little. The milk is getting nice and hot. That's the beauty about gas. Gas is so quick. Electricity takes much longer. And when it never really has to overflow, because when you turn off the gas, the heat is off right away. So now it's starting to boil. Now I'll show you a trick so you never have a scrambled egg. I'm gonna temporize it. That means I put some of the hot milk into my cold liquid. So now it's lukewarm. Now I put it back into the hot milk. Here we go. You wanna see that? Easiest way to make a vanilla sauce. Now you just wait for a few minutes, getting thicker, you see that? And that's what we want. We have to really cook in the cornstarch. Because if you don't cook it in properly, first of all, it doesn't get thick. And second, you have to taste of the cornstarch. And you don't want that. You want to make a really nice dessert. Voila, look at this. It's perfect. Okay, I'm gonna put this on the side. Just quickly start my fruits for the pudding, because it has to cool down a little. And while this is cooling down, like the berries are cooling down and the vanilla is cooling down a little bit, the vanilla sauce, I let Amber explain a lot of things about desserts. I use fresh blackberries here. You don't have to use fresh ones. You can also use frozen strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. You can use apples. You can use any fruit you like. You can even use some grapes. I mean, it's not just the blackberries what you can use. So I'm gonna put a little bit like only 2 tablespoons of water in there. Because when it gets soft, so it has a little bit more wetness to it. Okay, that's it for me for now. Amber, you're on.
Thank you, Chef. And thank you everyone for having us here on this platform. So we are able to provide you all this information. As we know, this is the last session today, and we are ending it with a sweet touch. I'm so happy that Chef Burgi is bringing desserts to the end, because we all know that dessert is an important part of our meals, right? Either we are talking about fancy meal planning, either we are talking about home meal planning, or even if you're talking about hospital meal planning, desserts are never been ignored. It's an important course of our meal. The only part is we just need to ensure that it's a healthy dessert. Desserts has different definition in different cultures. Some cultures, and it basically reflects that culture. And it's not about healthy and unhealthy. It's more about the choice of that culture, those specific people, their mindset, the area they lives in, obviously the availability of food. For example, if you look into the desserts from the Mediterranean side, they are loading it more with the milk, cheese, and syrup from the sugar. If you look at the European side and the Western part of the world, we are looking more into the baking piece. Like they would bake their desserts, and I'm talking very generally at the moment. I'm from South Asian side, so we know that we do a lot of frying. Like we add oil by frying our desserts. Not all of the desserts, but most of the desserts. The best part is I'm coming from whole world to our small area where we are talking right now. I'm talking about our neighborhood. I'm talking about Canada, and I'm talking about more specifically the region of Peel and the Brampton Mississauga area from where you guys are belong. We live in a diverse population. There is a diversity. So the beautiful thing is that we can learn from different cultures. So that's why I start the whole phenomena of desserts from different culture, and we need to adopt the healthier forms of custards, to complete our meals. As I already said, dessert is a very important part of our meals. Some people likes to have dessert as a fruit, which is totally fine to have fruits as your dessert. Some people might would have yogurt and fruit as their dessert. That's another healthy option. Furthermore, in the desserts, there is other ways that we always talk about low caloric options, right? So some of the desserts we have that option. For example, if the recipe asks for milk, we can use low fat milk, like exactly what Chef Burgi has done today. She could have used 3.2% milk, but she used 1% milk. That's how you can save on saturated fat. Same phenomena will go for the cream. I know there are so many recipes that calls for heavy cream, but try to use like I know like there's something you cannot change, but if there is a possibility that instead of using 35% milk fat, you can always go for lesser milk fat. That's the discussion for milk and cream. Same thing for yogurt. There are certain desserts that you can make from yogurt. You can use the lesser fat milk fat yogurt. Cheese. Even if you are using cheese, there are some recipes that will call for cream cheese. Cream cheese is not the bestest thing in the world, according to my opinion, because it's the name has the cheese, but it's all fat. But still, some recipes calls for it, and I won't say don't use it because it's my dessert. I wanted to make it this way. Go for the light cream cheese. That will give you the consistency, that will give you the flavor, but that will also lower by using the light cream cheese, we will have a less caloric content or the burden for that dessert. So this is another way of cutting down the calories by using less percent of milk fat, and it all depends on the recipe that we are using, right? So you can always redefine, reinvent your recipe by choosing ideas around that. If you are baking, same idea. So some people are actually into using coconut milk and butter, in butter half and half portion. That's also a great idea because butter is more saturated than coconut oil. Coconut oil has a few double bonds or some unsaturation in it, which is why it is oil at room temperature. And butter, so again, as long as it won't impact the recipe, I would gladly do half and half or replace it based on the recipe, what recipe would call for. So that's a little discussion about the fat. Another thing is fiber. So many baking recipes will actually be more healthy if we use high fiber options. Either using a flour, you can add instead of using white flour, you can always use whole wheat flour. I tell you, it doesn't impact so much on the recipe. Maybe the outlook may change slightly, but once you get used to of it, you would start liking the healthier version of those cakes that you used to make or muffins that you used to make with the refined flour. But the fiber has lots of benefits. So doing those healthier tricks in your recipe will definitely add a lot of nutrition to your diet. I don't know if you guys remember last week, Chef Burgi made those, I think it was cakes or bars that she make, and
Muesli energy bars.
energy bars, yeah. And then what we did, we actually add wheat germ in it, so adding extra fiber in it. And that was amazing. So when you're making muffins, cakes, tarts, if you can add extra fiber by using high fiber options, that's also add nutrition to that. So all I'm trying to say that desserts are not a bad thing. It reflects our culture. We enjoy that meal. It's an important part of our meal. But as long as we can make it healthy, we can add nutrition to our meals. And the last thing, the most important thing, is the portion control. Do not overindulge yourself with desserts. There is a reason desserts is the last part of the meal. When the meals were designed, like either I'm talking royal meals or I'm talking home meals or I'm talking any basic meals, desserts are the last part of your meal, and it is only to add the final touch and completes your meal. So always treat it as the last and the end part of your meal. It shouldn't be your complete meal. It shouldn't be replacing your entrees. It shouldn't be replacing your side dish or salads. It is the end part of the meal that finishes our meal. So be mindful of what I am eating and how much I'm going to eat. So portion is a very big thing. Even if it's cakes, pies, we always recommend if it's a 8 or 10 inches a cake or pie, we would say 1/8 is the size of individual portion for each person. If it's a pudding or anything that you can cut into a square, and again depends on the height and thickness, we usually recommend 1 to 2 inches kind of a square. Again depends on how the width and the dimensions of the container. But just being mindful of a smaller portion, the better, because I never would like to say that do not eat dessert. That's not my forte to say things. I don't work like that. I always explain the nutritional benefit of everything, making sure that we have the nutritional side of all the foods. We are more mindful of it, and then have a portion control. So at least you get to enjoy that food. Chef, do you want to continue with your meals, or should I keep talking?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's continue if you don't mind. Thank you so much.
No problem, no problem.
I just was smiling because when you were saying about fiber, it's funny because I added in this recipe a tablespoon of flaxseed. We're going to add to it. And to make it, because this is my new favorite grain I'm eating, because it has so many, and you can explain more about it later on. I had no idea until a little while ago how good it is for anybody, you know, a healthy person, a sick person, a diabetic. Flaxseed is like a wonder kind of a grain to eat. So we're gonna add to it. So I don't know if you're cooking with me, but if you see, the berries now got a little softer, and the water made it all nice and gooey kind of thing. So in the meantime, I brought some ceramics here. Ceramics. Talking about smaller portions, I use those ceramic because it does give you a portion, and if you don't want to eat the whole one, you cut it in half after. So it's easier to portion it on the plate, and yeah, that's all you get. You can't cut yourself a big piece off. It's only a small portion of it. So what I'm doing right now, I put a little bit of that spray of canola oil in there on the inside. So this is just showing you quickly. Just spray it out a little. We don't have to do too much of it. Important is, if you really want to, then you're afraid that it's going to stick to the bottom, just cut it out on a little parchment paper and put it on the inside of the ceramic, or any, you can do that also with cakes or other things if you make any. All right. So I already did the other two, so I have 3. I know the recipe is for 6 of them. I only made 3 because I made 6 ahead already. 3 ahead already, so we do 3 in here, and I already made 3, so I can show you the end product after. So now I'm gonna use those blackberries, put it on the bottom. Can you see that? Can you see that? Of my ceramics. Just fill it nicely, like cover the bottom of the ceramic. So I'm gonna push it down a little, because otherwise the fruit alone is gonna take most of my space. Voila. I don't know if you see that. Put it in nicely. Now I put this aside, and now we're going to start the pudding. Okay, what are we using for the pudding? All right, I have here a sunflower seed spread. That's a sunflower seed kind of a butter. I'm gonna use that for my base, so I don't need any butter or anything else. You can also use soya beans spread. You can also buy flaxseed spreads. You can use it, but I'm not using it because I have the flax seeds in here when I put after with the flour into my pudding. So let me start with the sunflower. So I'm gonna use I think it's 60 grams, right? So that's 2 tablespoons. Sunflower spread. 2 tablespoons. I don't need to use that much. Keep in mind, use a little bit more, less, that's okay. Then I'm gonna use, again, not the regular sugar. I have here the retinol sugar, what is much healthier for a person, and eggs here. So like I told you before, I never put the eggs directly into my product, what I wanted to do, because here's a very good reason why. Just taking out a little shell. Here we go. I have small eggs, so I'm going to use 3, but usually 2 medium eggs is more than enough. So to make it a little bit easier, oops. The beauty of baking, you need a lot of room. I mixed it a little, and now I'm going to add the eggs to it. It's easier when the eggs are in, you have a little bit more liquidy. Here we go. Now I mix it really well. If you have a KitchenAid at home, of course it takes away the hard work. For working out and getting some muscles, okay, this is better. So keep on working. This is your workout. Look, and look how easy it is. It's not difficult to do that. So now I'm gonna do that for around a minute. Because I can use both hands. So at the same time, I also add some air into it, what I need. Because it's kind of a, what the English call puddings. I think over here in Canada and in Europe, we call it soufflés. So I need some air. It's a heavier soufflé. It's not like, you know, we call it the Salzburger or the other magical soufflés. But you have to wait, and then you have to run to the table, and when you get to the table, it's, you know. So we put more flour and flaxseed in here. But here I show you. Look how beautiful. Little bubbles in there. Fantastic. Let me get rid of my mistake here. Okay. Now I'm gonna add, it says in the recipe self-rised flour. So what a self-rising flour is regular flour with some baking powder in there and a little bit extra salt. You don't need to do that because there's, I think, a little bit salt in here in the sunflower spread. So there's plenty in there, and I don't want to add more to it. So we're going to use some regular flour. And what I want to show you now is always with the flour. Okay, I come back. Poor girl has to move around because I'm moving around all the time. I have 1 cup here. So I'm putting the flour in through a sieve. it's not only so I'm keeping all the impurities out, I also give the flour some extra air, what I need in the cake after, in the pudding, okay? So we're gonna put it in here, and I sieve it through. It's funny, I was on TV with Christine Cushion, and I had some other, two other chefs there with me, and I was doing baking in Vienna, so cooking in Vienna, baking in Vienna, and I made a Sachertorte. And I kept on saying, I need the sieve. And nobody understood what I was talking about. So that's a sieve. Can you bring me the sieve? And everybody just looked at me, and it was all live. It was just a funny anecdote. Okay, so I have the flour in here. I sieve it through, and I'm gonna add the flax to it. And because
What do they call over there? It's not sieve. What do they call it?
It is a sieve. It's
Yeah,
sieve.
I know this is sieve, but what do they call it?
They just didn't understand with my accent what I was talking about. So they were running around and bringing me all this stuff, and actually the only thing I needed is bring me the sieve, you know? You know how much patience the chefs have, you know? That's the funny thing. So I'm gonna mix that up a little, and because it's not a self-rising flour, I'm gonna add a 1/3 tablespoon of baking powder in it. Here we go. I'm gonna mix that in a little. This goes into the rest. There we go. Look at this. You see how slow I do that? In the end, it's always better to do it slowly so you don't kill the air bubbles too much. Here we go. All right. Then I have my favorite scoop. And I'm going to add it to my little fruits in there. So it's okay. If it's not full, it's not supposed to be full, because we want them to rise. Okay? So give it a little room, so it has room to rise. Okay, if you want to follow me, actually I'll bring it over. Okay. I have a little container here, what I can put, like a pan. This one is a pan I can put into the oven, because when you only make a few, you don't need a big pan to put it in there. But you can also steam it. You can put it in the steamer and steam it. Here, I put it with some water. We call it a bain-marie. So it's actually in English a water bath. Okay, that's all it is. But it sounds better in French, I guess. And then we're just gonna put it into the oven. 350, 375, between 350, 375, around half an hour. You can cover it. I personally like when I have a little crust on the bottom after of that cake. And yeah, let's wait there. If Amber has a few more ideas she wants to talk, and then I show everybody how I finish it up.
It's quite an easy recipe, just using milk, cornstarch, flavoring. That was a vanilla custard, and that's how she made it with egg. So there is always a solution. Now Google is such a big help. You can always find out how I can make that thing from scratch instead of using processed food or boxed items. We need to understand that when they make these food products, they have to increase the shelf life, right? Their shelf life is usually 1 year, 2 years from the manufacturing date. So they need to add some chemicals in it to make it stay longer on the shelf. So if we can make those things from scratch, if we can avoid those chemicals for our family, I think that's quite genius from your end. Another thing that we used in this recipe is not using the self-rising flour, but just doing a little research. Obviously, we are not comparing ourselves with chef. Chef has whole life of knowing the ingredients and the chemistry of the products, but you can also find out that what is the difference between self-rising flour and the plain flour, and the difference was only a little salt and the baking powder. So yes, I'm not asking you to do not use baking powder. Yes, we need to use these type of products in our ingredients in our recipes, but just a simple little change. So she actually cut down on some extra salt from the recipe. So following these little tips that will make our meals healthy, our desserts healthy, our food healthy. But if there is no chance, for example, we did use sunflower seed paste, because if chef has to make the paste from the real sunflower, that will take 2 hours from our session just to make the paste. Again, it's not impossible, but there are things that we can use from the products, and there are things that we can avoid when we are making our recipes.
Just wanted to share a few things with you. On our website, saveafoodbank.com, there is a link that we've added for community resources. And if you go on the website, so the same website where you registered, and you click on Cooking for Health, which is this program that consisted of these 5 wonderful sessions, and today is our last one. You can click on, so watch video. I don't know if you've been on this link before, but this is where all the videos will be posted. I think this one for now is the first one, the Intro to Diabetes, but you can click on that, or you can go to the Save a Food Bank account on YouTube. But this is our first session, and there's 2 more there posted there. But what I really wanted to point out is under Cooking for Health in the menu on our website, there is a link, a hyperlink for community resources. So we worked to put this great list together with the team. And I think, thank you so much. I just wanted to thank the participants as well, because I think when you have these great questions and people are reaching out and talking about some of these things, it really helps us to tailor this information to sort of what you're looking for, or what interests you. So we have a lot of great information here for some other resources in the community. So of course, as you know, Amber, or for those of you who are joining today, she is part of the Wellford Community Health Center. So they have a lot of great resources and community programs where you can find more information. So of course, Amber is part of the diabetes education program. So there's a link there for that. They have a dental clinic that they run, and actually Save a Food Bank also had a partnership just recently where we were running a dental clinic on site. There is some other information on this webpage for a program called I Learn program. So this is for anyone who has young children, and I think preschool, you can get free prescription glasses. So it's a new initiative from the province of Ontario, or for Ontario residents, I should say. There's some other information. Yeah, question?
Which one for the glasses?
So it's called, if you go again on the website, you can find all of this, and these are hyperlinked, so you can click on them. But the I one is called I Learn program. So it's on my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, now I can.
Before, yeah. So this is an initiative from, I think, the Optometry College of Ontario or something like that, and it's for preschool children who need prescription glasses. And so they can actually have it covered for, I think, up to a certain amount, maybe $250 or $200 for Ontario residents. And this program, I think, is running for about a year. So if you have anybody in the family, or you know somebody who can benefit from this, this is for everyone to kind of share what's out there. There is also some other support services and counseling services that are free for residents of Ontario. There's food programs in Peel region. So I don't know if you've heard of the food map in Peel, but I think it's from the municipality of Peel. They created this amazing resource online where you can go, and it's actually a map of Peel. You can click on the different icons and you can see the different food programs that are available, and could be close to where you live, something that might interest you. And there's a variety of things. It could be meal programs, it could be educational programs. Save a Food Bank is also part of that. So a lot of great resources. I highly recommend this. This one, I already shared this with you, the ethnic grocery stores, or essential guide to ethnic grocery stores. This one is in Brampton. I don't have one for Mississauga, but another great resource for buying different cultural foods in Peel. There's, of course, the 211 Ontario service, which offers, they have food specific programs, but also any other community services. You can call them. It's on their website. I think there's also a place to maybe send a message. And the great thing about 211 Ontario is they provide services and information in so many languages. I don't even know how many, but if there's somebody who needs information in their own language, great resource to connect to. You can go on their website or call, like I said, or send them a message. EcoSource, which I've mentioned, and I'll talk a little bit about them later today because they have some great workshops that are coming up, and one that's actually in partnership with Save a Food Bank as part of the urban gardening series that some of you may have heard about from our previous workshops. If this is your first workshop today, then I will talk about it a little bit later. But on our website, as I mentioned, and on this community resources link, you can find more information about community gardens in Peel, which EcoSource kind of put together. So you can see where there are community gardens, maybe close to where you live or close to where you work. And if you wanted to participate, we talked about, I think, vegetables and how to increase consumption of vegetables and how the prices went up. And so one of the things we've discussed is maybe, growing your own food or participating in a community garden. So this is a great resource where you can go and find a community garden near you. And there's more information on how you can get involved. Food Share Toronto, it is in Toronto, but it's a great resource. They have so many programs. One of them that I've mentioned last time we met was the Good Food Box, which is basically a box of fresh fruits and vegetables. A lot of them are local, but it's depending on the season. Some things are, imported, and of course they're the same food quality that you would find in the grocery store, but the price is really affordable. So for a small box, it could be anywhere from $13 to $15, and you get a really big box. And then they have a large box, which is maybe $25 or $30, and it could probably feed like 6 people for a week. So it's another resource I would just recommend looking at. They also probably have some virtual programs. They have a lot going on. They're very comprehensive and very connected to various community partners, not only in Toronto, but I think probably also in Peel, and I know in York Region. So I highly recommend them. Of course, there's some other ones, Community Connections for Newcomers that Indus Community Services runs. So I highly recommend just having a look at this. There's some other resources as well here, again, about fruits and vegetables, because that was an important thing that came up in one of our sessions that I really wanted to include. So check out these resources as well. They just talk about, the different, for example, guidelines or tips on storing vegetables and fruits, because that could also help with sort of, I'm sure a lot of us experience, food waste at home, like things going bad, maybe buying some extra things that we wanted or that were on sale, which is great. But knowing how to store your produce is really important too, because it can extend the shelf life. So knowing, what should go where is a great way to kind of extend the shelf life of the products that you buy. And also just make sure that, you're not wasting food. So again, I highly recommend to just have a look at these resources. I've done some research and picked the best ones. There's one on freezing as well, which I think we talked about, which is also another way that, you know, especially when you're buying things that are local. And right now, our growing season is slowly wrapping up, you know, about like October is when things kind of start, October, November, wrapping up for our area, for what we can grow. I mean, of course, some things are grown in greenhouses where the growing season is extended, but for the most part right now, it's a great time to go to the store and buy things that are grown locally. So beets, carrots, you'll notice that you can buy them in bulk and they're, you know, in great prices. There's other ones, I think, like kale, greens, there's cabbage. So all these things that are grown here, apples, potatoes, at a great price. And the flavor makes a difference too when it's grown locally. So, you know, what can you do with all these like big amounts of local food that you buy in the store that are at a exceptionally good price? Well, you can freeze them. So there's a guide here at the end for how to freeze fresh vegetables. And another thing is you can can them. And I think I'll stop here. I don't know, Chef, how it's going with the recipe. I feel like I've talked so much. But you know, keep the questions coming, and we have about 25 minutes, but so we still have time to cover some things. But for now, I think I'll just head it over to Chef to see what's going on in the kitchen.
All right, welcome back. Well, that's a lot of information and a lot of good information. Thank you very much, Kate. Like you were asking me last time, I think she answered you a lot of questions before the sites you can go on and get some fresh fruits and vegetables. And I remember we did those food boxes in Brampton, and it was really good. It was nice to see when people came in and picked up those fruits, and they were really happy to have some fresh strawberries and fresh vegetables and carrots and zucchinis and onions and tomatoes. So whatever was in season was in the box. Also fresh fruits, and sometimes there were some organic ones like raspberries or blackberries or blueberries. So going back into the dessert, the dessert is ready. So I'm just gonna show you now a few plating. So when you make something really special for your family at home, or for your significant other, or you just want to impress your boss who's coming over, I'm going to show you a few things what you can do. So with the vanilla sauce, you see the vanilla sauce, what we did? I do the first one. I did three plates. So I put it on the plate. You can use a bigger plate. It looks fantastic on a big plate as well, a dinner plate. The other one, I'm gonna do a red one. Voila, there we go. I used the blackberries and I put it on the stove and I let it reduce. I added a little water and I let it reduce, and then I pureed it. So it came out like this. And the last one, I'll show you this one. Simple to do. Vanilla sauce in the middle. This is my magic stick. So what it is, it's just this, what do you call it?
Kebab stick? Kebab stick?
Kebab stick. Thank you very much. It always gets me, second language. So this one, I'm just gonna do this. This is my number one. All right, look how easy that is. The second one, I show you a little trick. I don't know if you heard about Schnitzel. Schnitzel is in Austria. You get your chestnuts. They're the little guys, the older guys, when they do some extra money, when they retire and the winter time comes up, and you see them here too, they're grilling the chestnuts on the side of the street, and they're making little call it schnitzels to put them in. So the pastry chefs use that as well. So I don't know if you watched me, how I did it. So I use a triangle of a parchment paper. Then I turn, you see there's the longer side on this side and there's shorter sides on the other side. If you're right-handed, you turn this side down to this corner. And this one you turn up. Hold it with one hand. Put it back in here. So, for my vanilla one, I'm gonna put a little red sauce in this one. Just cut the front of the tip off just a little bit. Make sure that the tip doesn't fall into your sauce, okay? I can do it a little closer. And now, I'm just gonna put a little bit more. If you don't want the seeds in there, you better sieve it through. Get it? Sieve it through. This one. Let's do. And now I'm gonna use my magic stick again. Voila. Okay, and now we have the third one. I'm gonna put some vanilla. You can also, if you don't want to use some vanilla sauce, you can also use a little bit yogurt. Okay, it's up to you. Again, I'm just gonna cut the tip up.
Chef, we have a great comment here. Just wanted to relay this to you, saying great art.
It's so easy, so everybody can do that, okay? It's easy. And now, we'll see. Wow. Little
Nice.
turned out.
Beautiful.
So use a knife to go on the outside just in case it gets stuck on the side. And then let it fall. Look at this. It's beautiful. I'm gonna finish this one first. Doesn't need too much because it already has a lot of art on it. Just gonna put a few leaves here. Number one, voila. Okay, let's do the second one. Oh, look how beautiful they came out. So you don't have to put a custard on this one. What we're gonna do is we make it really fancy. Here we go. Put a little flour, the edible flour. Look, Kate, I'm using your flowers.
Wow, this is amazing. And for those of you who are not familiar, these are edible flowers that we grow in the garden. So you'll get to see them tomorrow at the workshop if you join. I forget the name of this one. I think this one is nasturtiums.
Yes.
And they come in all colors. They're really beautify the garden, but also the plate. So whatever you're cooking, salads, main dishes, desserts, you can add them to, you know, accentuate the appearance of it, but also you can eat them. So
And this
works really.
just some mint. Here we go. Look at this. And now you just have to try. So my friend, you and me, we're gonna try it and make everybody really hungry, okay? I have my friend here today. So too bad, Kate, you're not here today. So you can choose which one.
Usually I'm the one that is trying all this wonderful food, but that's okay. So I just wanted to recognize Beryl, our volunteer today, because I wasn't able to be on site. Thank you so much for joining us behind the scenes, but you are such a critical part of the team because without you, we would not have the right video position. We would not be able to record the session. So really appreciate you taking the time tonight and
Thank you so much. No, she did an amazing job right away. She knew what to do.
Yes.
Thank you. So which one would you like?
Grab this one.
Yeah?
Sorry.
We're gonna just
Grab this one, y'all. Bye.
You come on my side so
Yep,
they
right
see
there.
you. Okay? So they
if
see
you're
you.
making this at home too, we would love to see photos. Some participants have shared photos with me before. I put down my email address in the chat box. Please send them our way because we'd love to see how it turned out. Go ahead,
Okay.
give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
Just to summarize, this recipe is high in fiber. It contains two healthy food groups, which is milk, and also it contains fruit group. There is the fruit that we used is very high in antioxidants there because the berries, the blackberries that we have used, they are also high in fiber. And this recipe doesn't contain a lot of starches. It does contain carbohydrate, but carbohydrate are from different types. So carbohydrate from fruit, good quality because high in fiber. There is very less carbohydrate from starch because we only use 1 cup and it made 3 portions. So literally 1/3 cup in raw flour in just one pudding. It does have egg in it, 2 eggs in only 3 portions. So that's a good quality protein. It's like 14 grams of protein divided into 3 servings, which is quite good. And the custard milk also have some protein in it. So this specific dessert, high in fiber, high in protein, low in fat, and also contains antioxidants from the fruit. Yeah, one more thing that just come to my mind, because you use sugar alcohol in it, the word that you use, it was sugar retinol, right? That's what you said.
Yeah, adrenal, sweet, yeah.
This is the type of sugar that has very low impact on the blood glucose level. So
Even
that's
better.
yeah. And so for like some people, I always recommend Splenda, but this is something that I would highly recommend if it is available in the market. That this type of sugar has a very less impact on your blood glucose, but adds the sweetness without aftertaste.
Yes.
And even you guys have noticed, I think throughout the whole recipe, we use only 3 tablespoons, right?
That's it. That's all you need.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
So